how can I update my table using another table or a query and insert the records that aren't there but update the records that are there? I'm your host, Sean MacKenzie, and today we're going back to our Python on Snowflake playlist, and we're going to take a look at how to use merge. And merge is a very powerful statement that you can use to update one list using another list, and you can do insert or update or even delete operations all in one shot, which is very handy. So without further ado, let's get to our merge in Snowflake. Looking for additional programs for your project? Make sure to check out the additional links in the description. Okay, so this is a pretty fun topic today. We're going to do merge, which is very powerful and pretty new among most database systems, and Snowflake is no exception. And it basically makes an operation that used to be a real pain in the butt. It makes it very much easier than it used to be, and basically what it allows you to do is it allows you to compare two tables. So you can take a table like your production table, and then you might have like a list of items in another table that came in from the field, and you want to update the records in production with the ones that match, but the ones that don't match in the new list, you want those ones to be added to your table. And so I'm going to just go ahead here. I'll import Snowflake connector as SC, and I'll print some feedback saying connecting, just so we know what's happening as our script runs here. And we'll do our try catch block. We'll start that, and then I'll put up my connection object in there equals sc.connect. And then those variables for password and stuff, those are actually just scrolled up above the import statement there to make it easier. But when you do create a connection, it is very good to connect to your warehouse, your database, and your schema that you're going to work in. Makes it very nice to have that right in your connection so that you can immediately start working on the tables that are in that area. And so we'll just set up the exception in the except block here. So we'll say exception as E, and then we'll print that out if that happens. And then we'll use a finally block to whether or not there was an error. We want this to execute here. We're going to close that database connection, and then we'll print done after the script is done executing. And so there's our try, there's our accept, and there's our finally part of that. And then the finally is going to do that, print disconnecting, and then closed. And so now we can do our work in the middle of this in the script, and we're going to set up this nice merge operation. Now we're going to use a table that we used before. It's a table that just has some project names in it and descriptions, and so I'll show those to you. We're going to do a select from project here, and we'll go ahead and get that data. And so our next line is going to be to say that rex, we'll call it, is equal to cs.execute SQL. That's going to get the return from the cursor, not a Pandas data frame as you've seen in some other episodes, but we're just going to get the raw data from the cursor, and then we'll say for rec and rex, for record and records, we'll print the record, and that's going to show us the output from that table. So I can show you guys what's in there right now, because we've got a project table and we have a project update table, and we're going to update one with the other using merge. So I just want to show you what's in here first, and let's see what we get here. So it's connecting, it's grabbed those records, and it's going to output those, and you can see this is our little table. It's got blueberry farm and a description of that, create a farm to raise and sell blueberries, and then there's a marathon project and olive farm project and some other stuff. And there's an ID field here, and we're going to use this ID field when we use a project update table with the same fields. We're going to use that to update this one, and we're going to use that ID field for that, and that's going to be a really good demonstration. So I update the table to project update, and that'll output here, and then you can see, okay, so there's 4 records in this update table. You can imagine this is a big list coming in from outside. Some of the records are the same, like 9111 and 9112. Those are the same record, but there's a different description in one of the records, or 2 of the records have a different description. So those ones would likely need to be updated. And there's 2 new records. Here you can see 3434 is a kale farm that doesn't exist in there, and 5656 is a carrot farm, and it does not exist in there either. So once we've got our idea here of what we're going to do, we're going to take that little table at the bottom and we're going to update it into the bigger table, update and insert. And what we'll do is first we're going to create our merge statement, and the merge statement, what we'll do is we'll put that one further up above here, and what we're going to do is we're going to run, first we'll run one statement, the merge statement, and then we'll run that select from again, just so that we can see the results of what we did. And we'll run this a few times. I'm going to run it the first time here, and we'll see how the update works, and then we'll do an update and insert, and then we'll do a delete just to show how that works as well. And so you can sort of see the different operations that you can do when you're doing a merge in Snowflake. And so our statement has several sections, and at first we're going to say merge into project. In this case, this is going to be our production table. So merge into our destination table, in this case named project, and then using another table, and then we'll, kind of like when you do a join, we'll say on the, whatever fields that you're going to join those on. And so in this case, it's just the project.id is equal to project_update.id, and then we can say when matched, then update, set the project, we'll say project name, in this case is going to be project name, equal to project_update.project name. So basically what it means is when that row matches between those 2 tables, then update the destination table with the value from values from the source table. And so we'll actually be updating 2 tables so that you can see it's not just a one-shot deal. So we'll put 2 updates in there. We'll say project_update.project name, and project.project description is equal to project_update.project description. And so that's going to update that row in the table when it matches. And so that's really really powerful. And here we go. We've got our merge into project using project update, and we're going to match on the project ID is equal to project update ID, and then that'll be those 2 IDs that you see there over on the left. And then when we find a match, then we're going to do an update between the 2 tables, and we'll update the project name using the project update project name, and we'll update the project description using the project update.project description. And so that's a nice statement, and that's going to do the update part. We can test that out first. I will make a note where you see project update in the second line of the SQL. You can also put a query in there inside brackets. If you have like a crazy select query that has everything you want in there, you can use that as well, and you can use an alias with that query out with the brackets. So make a note of that. You can use a query as well as a table name. We'll use cs.execute SQL and then a connection commit so that our records updating is committed. And actually, I guess we'll put merging there because we're actually merging, even though this is only the update step of it. And we'll say project commit, and then we'll say, you know, selecting, because we're going to select some records after we do the merge. And this is going to just do the update part of it. We're going to add the insert part of it in a second. There's our select statement. That's going to run it, that cs.execute, so we're reusing the cursor there, and then we're going to loop through those and give the output. And so here we go. There's the I left it on the project update table. We got to look at the project table because that's now what we're using here. So let's grab that. We're just going to erase that off of there, and then we'll rerun it. Because we want the values from the project table, the bigger one. And so we're going to run that same update again. Here we go. And so we should have the same records that we had in the table in the first place, but you can see now there's an update in the table there on those two records. So there's our olive farm, and it's changed to an olive farm from create an olive farm, which is what it was before. And that's based off of that ID change there. And 9112 says the apple orchard now, where it used to say something different. And so, what we really want to do is we want to do an update and an insert at the same time. So if we want to rerun this and get those two new records in there, we can do that in the same statement, and we can add another clause here. We can say when not matched, then insert, and we're going to use that ID. We're going to say insert ID, project name, and project description, and then we'll add our fields. And kind of similar to how we, did our, our insert statements, we'll do values. And we're going to put in the project update values here. So that will be the ID, and we'll also put in the project name, and so that'll be project update.project name, and it looks like I made a little mistake there. UPU date, project name, and then we'll also do the project description, and then that will give us each of the insert values that we want. Kind of like how we did the update. We said which values we're going to update. We can also we can specify which values we want to insert, and that might be different depending on your situation. And so what we can do there is we can finish that off with a bracket, and then we're good to go. And so now when this one runs, it's going to do both an update and it's going to do an insert. So if it finds the record, it'll update it. If it doesn't find the record, it's going to insert that record into the target table. And so if I run this, looks like I probably missed a comma or something here. Let's take a look. So yeah, there's a missing comma there. Okay, so let's rerun that one. And now we can see that it's going to do a merge where it did both an update and an insert. So you can see these are the new records here, the kale farm, a kale farm, and a carrot farm, which is a bunny paradise. And then the rest of the records, these ones did get updated in the background, even though they are now the same. They do get updated. They were different in the very first version of the table, but we updated them in our last example, and now they've been updated again in this example. And so this update and insert is all together, and that's all. That is a good example of how that works. But we can also show a different example which is to delete. And you can actually just put when matched then delete, and then do your inserts. So you can, when there's no match, you can do your inserts. But you can also put an AND clause in here, so you can play around with this a bit. You can say when matched and some field equals something else. So we'll say and project update is description is like bunny or something like that. Then delete. So you can be pretty flexible with how that works. And so I'll put a like in there, and I'll extend our SQL a little bit here just for demonstration. And so now this is actually just gonna do the delete when matched, but because we cut out the insert and the update, but you can see looks like I made a mistake here. Hang on, we'll go back, and it looks like I spelled update wrong. Let's go and fix that. So that's going to be update. There we go. So we'll update that. So now when it's matched, it'll delete, and it actually only does the delete in this example because we removed the update, but you can get the idea of how to use that. Now the bunny is gone, but the rest of the records were left in there, and if we had updates, those would have been performed as well. Want to see additional code and articles and things like that? Make sure to check out my Patreon. The link is in the description.